Okay, super quick hit. I wanted to give you some tips to make you dangerous. What we're trying to do here is give you tips to make you dangerous. This is the standard configuration for the jake, and it is a little deeper than I want sometimes. I mentioned specifically in that video that I like to keep it above the weeds sometimes. Well, it's not only keeping it above the weeds, but the jake that I like to fish has a holographic finish to it. It creates flash because I fish it in a way with a lot of jerks. It's got a big flat side, which I like, and a reflective prism tape that will give you that level of flash, which I prefer. I will use this lip shape in really clear water and let this thing drive down pretty far. In water that's not very clear, this really depends on having some light in order to get that flash. Well, in dirty water, the light doesn't penetrate very far. So I don't want this lure driving down to the level where there isn't much light, because you really kill the effectiveness of that flashy side. So I will trim the lip so that it is substantially shorter. So what I've got are two baits that came with the same lip, but you'll notice substantially longer lip on the black bait. This one I have trimmed shorter and substantially shorter. The process of trimming that I actually do a lot of times with a grinder and some sandpaper. I basically take it down to about that far. You can notice a substantial difference. Kind of have the hooks in the way. Incidentally, that reminds me, if you are working these on a bench grinder, you want to be really certain that you take those hooks off. A friend of mine did run a hook in his hand because he was drilling a bait to add some weight and didn't have the hooks off. And it's pretty obvious there, the difference in the lengths. You can see this bait's been fished more, so that lip is not nearly as clear. This one's never been fished. I cut that down. You can see the position of the two dots, the position of that ridge that holds that stiffens that lip. This is the length I like to run if the water's a little bit off colored. When you cut that, you're going to substantially change the way that bait works. And there's a chance that you're going to get it wrong. And that's one of the hazards of modifying baits, especially fairly expensive musky baits. But there's a lot of lip to work with here, and you can do it. You can do it safely. I cut them straight across and then round slightly. I don't round a whole lot at first. And then I take it to the lake. Put the hooks back on it, get everything back so it's in the position ready to fish, basically. And then I'll stand on a dock or on my boat in clear water, throw it out, retrieve it. When you throw that out and retrieve it, it may run off to one side. You have to remove some more lip in order to balance that out and make it run straight, run correctly. Take a small amount off. If it's running this way, what you want to do is remove from the side you want it to move back toward. So you want to bring it back to center. You want to remove this side. Basically, what happens, you got more lip on one side or the other, and that side's trying to go deeper, which makes it track off true. Work that till it comes back to center. Once you get it back to where you think it's fairly centered, throw it out there and run it back a little faster. And keep running it back faster and faster. I want them to run really true. I don't run them that way. I don't run them true. I jerk them and retrieve them and do everything. But I don't want it to always dart to one side. And if that lip isn't right, it's very hard to get that jerking motion to work correctly. Always remove from the side you want to move it toward. So if it's going out this way, you're going to take off this side to bring it back. If it's going out this way, you're going to bring off this side to bring it back to center. This works on bass lures, this works on walleye lures, this works on every kind of lure. Again, the smaller the bait, the less you want to remove. So use a very fine grit sandpaper, just remove a little bit, throw it out, test it. Bass tournament guys, especially that fish a lot of docks, would take crankbaits like the old wigglewort, and they'd grind one side off a little bit so that it ran intentionally out to one side, and they would do baits that would run both directions. So they'd intentionally make one run this way, they'd intentionally make one run that way. and then they would throw it along the dock, and that thing would run up underneath the dock as they threw it out. So on this side of the dock, they'd run it so that it ran one way and went underneath the dock, and then on the other side of the dock, they'd pick the other one up and throw it, and it would run underneath the dock the other way. I will have another tip coming up for modifying wooden baits. These have been tips to make you dangerous. Please come visit us again, and thanks for watching.